when I was a little girl, and you have to remember this is probably the 80s, right? There were not that many women role models, right? But I always had like these visions, and of course, we did have Indira Gandhi at that time. And so, one of my earliest memories is me wanting to be, speaking like Indira Gandhi at the Red Fort. And I'm probably like 5, I don't remember, something like that age. And the reason this memory is so like resonates so much is Chacha immediately got a tape and put it on in him the tape recorder, and he hit record, and he made, and I was like, oh, I'll stand on the stool, I'll pretend this is the Red Fort, and I'm going to do the speech. And I did that, and when I think back on that, that was probably like a defining moment in my life, because I've never forgotten it. And I was thinking that at that time, I'm like this little girl, we're a middle class family, but that didn't make him think that it was not possible. He always thought, and especially with children, I think you want to really help them think that anything is possible. And so even later in life, that one act made me like always want to be that speaker. And any time an opportunity would come up, I would always raise my hand. And I know he did that because I remember hearing how wherever he went, he would sit at the front. If it's a big room, he would sit in the front. He would make sure he is prepared. He'll ask a question. And I've kind of taken that with me. I try to do that where possible. I try to always do the best I can, right? Like, so I feel that the biggest impact for me has been like watching him fulfill his potential. And for him, the way I think about it is he fulfilled much more than what was his potential. Like thinking about where he was born and what he achieved, it was so much more than what you can think of potential for a person born as he was, right? With the parents he had, with the socioeconomic, level he was born into, the role models he had. So he kind of had to create all these things. And then when I was born, I had him, right? And, he was the kind of guy who would tell you, there's nothing that's impossible. You're an equal to anyone. A lot of things that you today think is like very normal philosophy was not the same philosophy in the 80s. You have to remember, very few women even drove a car then, right? So I never felt I was any worse than a boy growing up in that household, right? And we did not have a boy in the house. He was the only boy, right? But he was such a feminist. Like if you think about what the word feminism means, it just means equal opportunity, right? And he was from that early on time really thinking that way. So I think that really helped me grow into the person I am, right? Like, and have that outlook. And then when I wanted to go to America, he like paved the way for me, right? I had to be resourceful, but I think I got that from him. Like he was always like this orderly person with his time and his resources, right? So it's not just, you have, he always tells me you have time and you have money. Like what are your biggest resources, right? You have to think about trade-offs all the time. Which one's more important? How do you use it? And so he would always organize his time and his thoughts, and he was very structured. And I did that a lot from when I was little. I would wake up on a Saturday and I would write out, okay, I'm going to do 8 a.m. this, and whether or not I did it, that structured my way of how I lived my life, right? And he was a man of habits, so that's the third big thing that I will say. And those habits, like he was a big fan of Atomic Habits. I'm a huge follower of Atomic Habits. Always start small. He would say that journey of 1,000 miles starts with that first step. And he always told me, you take little steps, right? Like, so when I went to America, like nobody in my circle had gone to America on a student visa. So I said, okay, let's just write the SAT and see what happens. So I did. And then, one thing led to the other, right? Like we never really knew the full plan, but we started walking. So that journey of 1,000 miles, like he really lives with that, right? The second thing is eat the frog. Like, and I think a lot of people today talked about how, as soon as something happens, he would immediately start, executing, right? And he would tell me that as well. So procrastination, and I really lived that in my professional life. It's hard to do it in my personal life, but on my professional life, I am extremely, in that ethos of eat the frog, like do the hard things first, don't wait, right? So I think those are all like big guiding principles for me, but it's the habits, right? The habits really make you. And he was a big believer in, like, exercise and, focus, working really hard, all of those things, right? Like, so those are the kind of the principles that I lived by. I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, to me, there are a few professional things which I really learned from him because I joined Deepika in 1991. That is about an year before Dr. Abraham came in. And I was almost planning to leave Deepika because there was not much of a professional atmosphere when Dr. Abraham joined. Two or three things which I learned. One is about thinking positively, something which he taught me. In fact, he bought me a book, The Power of Positive Thinking, and told, please look at this. This started with a very small incident where we were planning to open a office, Rashtradeepiya News Center in Pala, and then he gave me a time frame of 15 days to take off everything. I gave him 100 reasons why it is not possible. But in one journey from Kottayam to Pala, he told me either you do it or I don't want to work with you, which was a big challenge. But he did not leave me at that. Next day, he called me into his office and gave me this book called The Power of Positive Thinking and told, read this and come back to me, then we will discuss this project. And the best thing is, he worked with me to make sure it happened, which tremendously increased or improved my power of positive thinking. And it really helped me from that day. Even today, when I am faced with something which is very difficult, I will always think of, in the end, it will happen. Just keep doing your things. Second thing is about, there's nothing impossible. To him, there was
Agree.
nothing impossible. You work hard, things will turn around your way. So hard work to him is like unlimited. There's no limit till you execute your job. This was something which he really imbibed, and he also practiced it. Third thing, what I really know is walk the talk. I remember working with him, going house to house in Girinagar and Gandhinagar in Cochin to sell when we introduced Deepika newspaper in Kochi. Or I had the courage to go to Kalur bus stand, get into a bus and sell Rashtradeepiya when we launched Rashtradeepiya. I think this was something which, because Dr. Abraham demonstrated that that is possible. To tell one simple example, the Eastern curry powder, what you see now, me and Dr. Abraham has visited their house and had lunch with Nawaz Miran's father, and he tremendously praised the lady at the home, saying what a wonderful curry powder and what a wonderful cooking you have, and you won't believe that you could see her blushing. That is Nawaz Miran's father. And from that day, any advertisement what they give, first it will be for Deepika.
Uh,
So really used to work like it was walk the talk. So these are two, three things which I have really learned. I have practiced in my profession and has tremendously helped me. There are many more things, but I think these are the two, three things which I really has helped me to be what I am today.